All right, today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and, frankly, one of the most optimistic end-of-the-world stories you've probably never heard of. It's called Frashokereti. It comes from the ancient religion of Zoroastrianism. And get this, it isn't about destruction at all. It's about a grand, cosmic renovation. You know, we're all so used to apocalyptic stories, right? Fire, brimstone, the big finale. But let's just pause and ask a different kind of question. What if the whole point of the universe's destiny wasn't about just ending everything?
What if it was about a making wonderful? Because that is the literal translation of Frashokereti. It's not about an ending, it's about perfection, a complete and total rehabilitation of existence itself. And to really get how that works, we need to start with the problem it's trying to solve.
So to get this really hopeful vision, we first have to understand the Zoroastrian view of the universe and the mess it's in. And honestly, the best way to do that is with an analogy. Think of a beautiful, historic cathedral that's under siege.
So in this story, the universe is this magnificent cathedral. It's a masterpiece designed by a great architect, Ahura Mazda. And this part is absolutely crucial. Every single part of it, including the physical, material world, is considered inherently good and beautiful.
But, of course, there's a problem. While it was still being built, a vandal broke in. This is a destructive spirit named Ahriman, and he's the source of all chaos, all corruption, all evil. He's not some fallen angel. He's a completely independent, opposing force. Now, the architect's response here is fascinating. He doesn't just tear down his beautiful creation to get rid of this one vandal. No, instead, he locks the doors. Our material world becomes a kind of trap, one designed to contain and, eventually, to defeat evil. So according to this view, we are all living inside that locked cathedral right now.
And that leads us directly to the state of our reality as it is today, which Zoroastrianism calls the Great Cosmic Mixture. It's this whole era defined by the constant struggle between these two locked forces.
Okay, so this is the key thing to understand. There are two states. We are currently living in Renovation, which means the mixture, where good and evil are all tangled up and constantly at war. The whole point of creation, the end game, is to reach Renovation, the separation, where evil is finally and permanently kicked out of existence.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. It explains the core of Zoroastrian dualism so perfectly. It tackles the problem of evil head-on by basically saying that God, Ahura Mazda, is all good, but his power is currently limited because of the very real presence of Ahriman. Frashokereti is the cosmic event that's going to resolve this stalemate for good.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of this whole renovation. How does the universe actually get from the mixture to the separation? Well, it happens through this really dramatic and profound series of events, and it all climaxes in an ordeal by fire. So the path kicks off with the arrival of a final savior, Saoshyant. He shows up to oversee the resurrection of the dead, and not as ghosts or spirits, but in their actual physical bodies. This is huge because it reinforces that matter itself is good. And then comes the main event. All the metal in all the mountains melts, creating a purifying river that's going to flow across the entire world. Now, the experience of this river is where it gets really wild. It's a subjective ordeal. For the righteous, the people who lived by good thoughts, words, and deeds, it feels like a gentle, soothing bath of warm milk that just purifies them. But for the wicked, that exact same river is an agonizing fire that burns away every last bit of their sin and corruption. The key, though, is that everyone is ultimately purified.
After this whole universal purification, that molten metal has one final job. It flows into the very hole in the cosmos that Ahriman used to break in the first place, and it seals it forever. This isn't just a defeat. It is an absolute guarantee that evil can never ever come back. The cosmic trap is finally sprung and sealed shut for good.
So evil's gone. All of humanity has been purified. What does this renovated universe actually look like? This is the final blueprint for a world that has been truly made wonderful.
The transformation is just total. The earth is leveled out into one single harmonious plane. Heaven and earth merge into one. Even hell is cleansed and brought into the new creation. And linear time, a concept that was only created to contain this cosmic battle, just ceases to exist. Humanity is left in this state of perfect, timeless harmony.
And this brings us right back to our core definition. Frashokereti is the ultimate rehabilitation, but it's not a return to some original Eden. The idea is that the universe, after being tested and purified, comes out stronger, more perfect, and even more beautiful than it was before evil ever showed up.
So, why does this ancient idea from one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions matter today? Well, because its blueprint for the end times turned out to be incredibly influential. You can trace the flow of this idea through history, and it's remarkable. These core Zoroastrian concepts, a final savior, a bodily resurrection, a final judgment, and the defeat of a primary evil figure, they get echoed in the eschatology of Judaism and later become foundational themes in both Christianity and Islam. This ancient vision really provided a powerful blueprint for how much of the world thinks about its ultimate destiny.
So we end where we began, with a totally different kind of end-of-the-world story. Frashokereti isn't a narrative of fear. It's one of what you might call radical optimism. It's the ultimate promise that reality, despite all the pain and chaos we see, is bending towards a final, perfect, and truly wonderful state. So the question for us is, how does that ancient hope still echo in our own visions for the future? That's something to think about.